Part 2 is Latin American migration. Just to look at some of the trends here that we can see. Okay. And there's only actually one slide that I have on flows and trends. And here, rather than trying to tell you all the details about every country and flows, I just want to highlight certain kinds of flows that take place between Latin America and the United States. And of course, probably the most important is Mexican migration to the U.S., which overwhelms any other movement that we can talk about. In part, it's because Mexico is a very big country. We share a very large border. So the history, the process, the opportunities, the potential, the characterizations, everything about Mexican-U.S. migration is very different than the kinds of migration we might see elsewhere. Okay? So Mexican migration to the United States tends to overwhelm any other flow. But we do know that there are other flows. There are sub-regional migrations. These are migrations that are going to take place within part of Latin America. So, for example, Central American, there is what we would think of as sub-regional migration within Central America. This is movement of, this is perhaps most clearly characterized by Nicaraguans moving into Costa Rica. Okay? Those are two countries that have a shared border and a shared history of migration between, mostly of Nicaraguans moving into Costa Rica looking for opportunities. Also moving into, Nicaraguans also moving in to mitigate political differences. Okay? There's internal moves that we talked a little bit about within countries. There's a lot of what we would call sub-regional and international migration. In South America, this is migration into Brazil. It's both international and sub-regional because we have people moving into Brazil, into its growing markets. We have people moving into Peru, into its growing markets. And these are two very important forms of migration. Peru is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Brazil has been in the past. It's slowed down a little bit. We also see migration to Spain and to Europe. There are special sorts of laws that encourage movement to Spain. Those have to do with patrimony sorts of laws and the idea that the Spanish crown had originally colonized many of these places, and so there's better access to return from South America to Spain, although the economy in Spain is now discouraging that kind of a movement. And finally, there's Caribbean migration. And this is migration to the United States, but also to Puerto Rico. One of the interesting facts about Ohio, for example, is that if you look at Latin American migration into Ohio, in the present day, it's largely defined by Mexicans moving into the state. But in the past, the largest Spanish-speaking population in Ohio was Puerto Rican. Okay? But of course, that's internal kinds of migration because Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. So it's very different, but we have lots of movement in the Caribbean from other islands to Puerto Rico to then access the United States. Puerto Rico is seen as a place of opportunity for other movers. So these are some of the flows and trends that we see in Latin American migration to the United States.